Hi, welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts. You're catching me on my channel, True Divine 44. You can get me on YouTube and Bitchute with that, and also Facebook. This is where I put out the daily energy readings, where they are energy readings, stroke tarot, two of the things that I do, pick up on the energies of the day and work with the tarot that I work with anyway, to give you a narrative to help best guide your day, recognize the energies within you, around you, and within others to make the highest and best potentials of each day. Take what resonates as it is general and ditch the rest. Leave a comment as to how it's resonating or how it's not, or just to say hi. I appreciate all of those. And this is for the 15th of February 2021. So let's see. On the bottom of the deck with the first part, we have the Fool card. So the Fool is back at this 0 point. The uncertainties of the journey are there for sure. The treachery of the journey is there for sure. The excitement should also be there for sure. And a lot of people inside of the low frequency magic that's being put out by the collective, by the so-called powers that be to the collective, the amount that is being done by, it's difficult to see past that very often right now, in particular today. In particular, it's difficult to see past the fear-mongering low frequency magic that is meant to hook you in to this fear place of fear, 0 point of fear, rather than seeing the potentials also for greatness in your individual story, and for greatness as individuals amongst the collective, and therefore the collective's story. We've been in these places before many times since still say a major hijack occurred a long time ago. But we have been in this cycle of history repeating, of tyranny getting out of control in small gluttons of power. And this is where the human resources, the human experience keeps getting wrapped up in the fact that we keep maintaining. We may even suffer losses while we do this, but we maintain, we find ways around it. And I do feel that we're coming to another precipice, another point of reaching the tyranny in some of its heights, and finding ways to defeat it, finding ways to have the remembrance of the seeds that are within each and every one of us, again, in our individual lives and as a collective, for greatness, to switch out of this spell of thinking that it has to repeat the way it keeps repeating, that we have to react the way we're being programmed to react. And so this is a huge part of today for a lot of the collective, more of the collective than you'll see through your news, through your social media feeds, because they're utilizing the technology right now. This is part of the attack that I've kept saying is World War II did not end. We've been in a perpetual state of war, and the war keeps changing its field, keeps changing its strategy, but it continues nonetheless. It continues around the world with drone attacks. It continues around the world with abuses and oppressions that are unthinkable to many. It continues under the shiny light of Britain, of the UK, you know, where it looks like things are being done for the greater good. It looks like everything is also polite, when actually this also polite culture has been a huge oppression, a huge suppression of the people. And we're seeing the fallout of that for sure in this 0 point, in this path that leads to who knows where, but we can have a determining factor as to where it lies. The lie is that we do not have a determining factor, that we are not a determining factor as to which way this goes, which path we take, how our reality is shaped from here on in. The defeatist attitude is not that of the fool. The fool has an excitement for whatever lies ahead, for whatever experience is yet to be experienced. And so, this is what we need to really build up today as the high conscious part of the collective. As the high consciousness part of the collective, we really need to be putting out the frequency of excitement, of the potentials, dreaming up, manifesting the kinds of potentials we want to see made reality for not only ourselves, but for the collective and the generations thereafter. It is time to get serious with this kind of thing. It's time to get serious with putting out frequencies with intent, for sure. Because there's much more power to it than has been led to believe, crazy amounts more. And so that's the underpinning energy. Now we have on the bottom of the other deck, to clarify, the Devil card. So these are the chains that bind us to the low frequency part of self. This is just much of what I've been describing is going on within this Fool energy, as to we are being chained up and strung up as much as possible, because they know, whether it's individuals in our lives that are threatened by us, or threatened by themselves and want company in that, or whether it is from the so-called powers that be, from the stage. It is that they are putting out this very deliberate magic, very deliberate wording, very deliberate frequency, taking very deliberate actions to try and chain you to whatever you fear the most, whatever seeds of doubt of self are there, whether that is addictions, whether that is bad relationships, whether that is not having faith in your decision making, whatever it is for you. These are the chains that are being bent and made as we speak, by people around you that are close to you, maybe, and from very definitely the so-called powers that be stage. Don't accept these chains. Don't give them what they want. Go back to facing it face on with this Fool energy card, with the excitement, with the realities that you want to see. Not to be locked in this fear, neither fear of self nor fear of another. And so that's the underpinning messages of today. And so, and I don't know who's feeling sick right now, nauseous, nauseated, but yeah, I'm feeling that for sure as I'm reading this. So mint tea would be great to settle that, and alkaline diet for sure would be helpful to settle that, because feeling it strongly and it's not me. So we've got the first card is the Messenger, the Page of Swords. And so this is where the truth is being heard, the truth is being seen, and it's real easy to see. And there's a lot of people who aren't seeing this, and it leaves to question the people who are seeing it, who are of a higher frequency, a higher consciousness. It sort of is a bit of a beyond belief, like, what else do I need to say? What else do I need to do to prove to you, to show you that lie is being spoken out of that person's mouth? The person you're defending, the person that you're giving credit to, is telling you right into your face exactly what they want to do to you, exactly what they want to achieve. And it's almost maddening in that you think you're going crazy yourself as to, am I hearing this person say that? Am I hearing them like speak out their truth, or am I not? Because these people obviously aren't seeing it. And that's been a huge affliction for the people of high frequency and high consciousness over the last 2 years, in particular, longer time than that, but in particular in its extreme. We've been able to feel this way very often, and look and see and question self as to really, am I really hearing that right? Because this person should be hearing what I'm hearing, and they're just not. And so this is where we've got the case of this is the spell, and this is how you can see how powerful intent backed with spell work is, backed with frequency, that intent behind and within the frequency, that it is enough to actually blind some people that aren't armed against this kind of thing, that aren't in the know of this kind of thing. And so seek the truth today, speak the truth today, but don't exhaust yourself trying to get people who cannot see to see, because there is a certain amount of consent being given by these people for them not to see. They don't want to see. Maybe they're not even ready. Maybe this would kill them, whatever these truths are. Maybe this would send them into such a spiral that they wouldn't recover from it. And so don't exhaust yourself thinking that that is your role, that has to be your role, that everybody you meet has to be able to see what you can see or hear what you can hear. That's not going to happen. And so we've got the Ace of Wands to clarify this Page of Swords. Wow, whoever's feeling sick, damn it. Give me a break. So we've got the Ace of Wands to clarify this Page of Swords. This is where the passions are unbridled for the truth, and the passions to wake people up to the truth. So you're seeing, that you're hearing, that you're feeling is a flame. It's a blaze. And so invest this in yourself. In investing this in yourself, this passion, this fire for the truth, your own truth, and seeing the truth as to the bigger pictures. The investment in doing this for yourself. One, the right people who are meant to hear, can see, will see that anyway. For the people who cannot, you're not dimming your own fire, you're not exhausting your own flame trying to convince them of something that it's not your job to convince. And so whoever's feeling this in the relationship state, oh, that's left in, thank goodness. Whoever's feeling this in the relationship state, don't be too reactionary to something that you've known has been going on for quite some time, just haven't wanted to see it maybe, and haven't wanted to deal with it. Don't get yourself into trouble for something that was seemingly inevitable. And don't give of yourself. Use that flame, use that fire, use that passion to go forward in a different direction. Because you don't want to give of that situation a part of self that you would then regret once those flames, once those passions die down. Don't give of yourself what you don't need to give of yourself. We've got the Death card, and so this speaks of a death of the relationship, if that resonated with you, for sure. It speaks of death in the collective, as not just figuratively, the same way these swords would go through the skin, you know, maybe on your arm. That's happening today in great numbers, greater numbers than you would ever see. Expect them to maybe say that there is a spike in the COVID numbers to cover that, to placate that, not just in the diagnosed that they can't diagnose, but you know but the numbers actually in death, that there's a sharp spike for today. So it's covering up the numbers, it's covering up the reasons, as they've been doing for the last couple of years, playing with the statistics, but it doesn't feel like as much of a game today. It feels like there is a spike in death today, because of something very different other than a very recoverable thing, you know. That angers me. That angers me, what they're doing. But we're here, and the game is playing out, and it does have serious consequences, and this will come out. The truth will come out. And it's not to get sunk in it or downhearted in it, because we don't have the luxury to do that. Particularly people who belong to the higher consciousness crew. We don't have the luxury to do that, but you know, it doesn't mean we don't feel that passing. It doesn't mean we don't honor that passing. It doesn't mean that we don't give reverence to a life lived, many lives lived. And neither does it mean that we forget. There will be a reckoning where this cannot happen for a very, very long time ever again, because of the truths that will come out. So yeah, sorry that, you know, sometimes the visions, yeesh, 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 yeesh. So we've got the 10 of Swords to clarify that. And so there is this, for some, very abrupt ending, physically, and also on the mental and emotional state. There's a switching off, particularly for whoever resonated with the relationships type status. And also there is just many deaths today in people's lives, also regarding everything, old ways of thinking, connections to things that you know we used to be so obsessed with or so in depth with. There's a releasing of that, and death does bring a release. It does bring a space, and it does bring clarity as well, for the good. I feel that this would be the first domino today of this particular aspect, of there being a real pushback to these gene therapy things, jabs in the arm. Wow, but it's the reality of the situation. It really is, and the truth will come out about it. And I'd much prefer to be wrong. I'd much prefer to be wrong. So we've got the 2 of Wands to clarify, not to clarify, the next card. And so the next card being the 2 of Wands, this is what I've just been saying: the death, the reprieve, the release, the space, and the thinking, the holding the world in your hands, both in your individual life, holding your world in your hands, abrupt endings occurring, very passionate starts to the day, abrupt endings occurring, whether that be in physical death or whether that be in death of cycles in your life, relationships, jobs, ways of making money, going into new. And this is the going into new. This is the embryonic ideas, the going back to the flame that you haven't exhausted on things that are dying, that are dead anyway, whatever those things are in your life. And you have this flame going into the Two of Wands at the end of the reading. And this is where you hold your world in your hands and you contemplate. You contemplate new ways of being, of doing, of trading, and the horizon broadens and the world gets smaller. Through what I've just been speaking of regarding the death card, there's an idea that it brings the collective closer together. It brings people who've been very devised, very divided, into more like minds. There's a certain severity and there's a certain serenity in the death process, whether that is physical death of life, or whether that is death of a situation, death of a way of being, death of a way of doing. There's a certain serenity that comes with it also. The duality of it is that it can feel really severe, really stripping. And then the serenity of it is almost, this Ten of Swords in particular with the Death card, is that it is the worst has happened now, and there's this reprieve of this moment of pause, where you can contemplate. You still have this flame, this passion, and you can contemplate the possibilities of putting that flame to different uses, to different ways of going about life, of creating your new realities. And also because of the severity of whatever the situation is regarding the death card for you in your individual lives and on the collective stage, it brings a pause and a silence, a deafening silence of where all of the noise of all of the divides and all of the maybe family arguments, all of the what seem in the face of death trivial matters, or worthless matters, because of the severity of death, it brings the silence to them. It puts silence to all of those things that don't measure up to the death process. And so this is where you have this golden moment, this sweet spot, to really let your passions flow, really let your ideas flow into new possibilities, new potentials, new ideas entirely. So this is where we have a win in today. This is where you can turn it around today, for your individual best and for the collective's best. There's this different way of seeing things. There's this enlightenment here with the clarifying card being the Hangman. This is the gaining perspective, gaining enlightenment. And again, this Hangman is paused, it's still, it's in stillness, it's in an energy in thought, in stasis. And it's absorbent. It's absorbent of the moonlight there, and it's transmutational of the energies and the moonlight around it. into what would be then enlightenment, all of the body is quiet. It's upside down. It's almost numb because it's in such stillness. And it's in this stillness of the two of these cards together that these huge eureka moments happen, where this um, huge body of enlightenment occurs. Now, if you're doing this in your individual life, you're going to start to see new opportunities, particularly for trading, for utilizing your community, your contacts. Some of you are calling in an old favor comes to mind. Go for it. That's divine timing. And whatever death has occurred in your life, of whatever cycle it is, it leaves that space for you to, where you couldn't before make use of this old contact and calling in this favor of old. Now, whatever it is that has created this space, that space is created for you to make the most of that contact. As part of your embryonic idea. So whoever that's for, go for that. Make the phone call today or send the email today. This is where, again, with the energy of the Devil and the Fool card, you have this freedom of chains with the Fool card, and you have this chained up. So the duality of these two is huge too. The chains of the Devil card, if they're unrivaled or out of balance, out of hand, if you give in to them, they'll chain up this Fool card energy, and that is maddening when you have this explorative idea, path ahead of you, and you know you have, but you're chaining yourself up to your lower frequency. That becomes a fear-filled journey, or becomes no journey at all. Putting yourself in your own prison. And now the Fool energy in any kind of prison, that is hell to the Fool card. So it's important to take note of that. That's part of the enlightenment of the hangman. Whoever it is that feels like they should have said something and now have lost the opportunity to do so, and your contemplative moment is this. There is nothing that you could have said or done to change what rolls out today, or what rolled out for you yesterday and is therefore rolling into today. And the enlightenment and wisdom in that is that people have their own paths to take, their own paths to follow. And we all make mistakes. We all steer off the path or veer off, but at the end of the day, that is our path to determine, each and every one of us. So whatever kind of responsibility that you're feeling, the only responsibility you can take is responsibility for self. Unless you're caring for a child, which I'm not talking to you on this aspect, this is for someone else, this is to do with adults. There's nothing you could have said or done, and there's nothing you should have said or done. It is what it is, because it is their path and it is your path. Don't be in fear of being in the stillness. One of you or some of you have been running away from meditation, running away from stillness, running away from quietness, being afraid to be in a quiet and dark room, being afraid of being alone. And it's not actually the attachments to others that is the main issue. It's you're afraid of your own greatness. You're afraid of your own capacity to look at what you deem as mistakes honestly and gain enlightenment through them, because that first step makes your blood run cold, of looking at those mistakes honestly in the first place, to then roll into the enlightenment. And this is hard. It is difficult to do. But do it you must, because there's not as much to be afraid of there as you are making it out to be for yourself. There's not as much, there's far less for you to fear than there is for you to gain. There's certain things that will fall into place once you give yourself this practice of stillness, of contemplation, of self-observation. And there's so much release for you from that. There's so much release of this burden of guilt, this burden of dishonor. Wow, you need to release yourself from that. So that's the reading for the 15th. Remember, whoever was feeling sick, damn, I feel you, literally. Have some mint tea, have some ginger, root ginger, fresh ginger. That will really help with that and alkalinize your diet for sure. And the other people that came through, that's for you. And sometimes I do readings, and in particular people come through very, very strongly. And whatever it is about today, that was happening. So make of it what you will. It's a bit draining when that comes through just like that. So that was different people. So be aware of that as well today for yourself. Of feeling things that you know aren't yours. Feeling symptoms that you know aren't yours. Energies that you know aren't yours. Take it as a gift, take it as nothing to be afraid of, but maybe, just maybe, for whatever reason, you are connecting to the energy of that person because that person's crying out to someone in the collective, and you answer their call by helping them transmute that energy, speaking back to it, and speaking love into it is integral. Love is the chicken soup. It heals everything. It strengthens everything. So yeah, that's the reading for the 15th of February 2021. Thank you for listening. Check out the Instagram and Twitter at The True Divine. Go to Facebook, True Divine 44. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe here. Subscribe at Bitchute. That's sort of a backup, just in case, because, can't keep my mouth shut. And I appreciate you all so, so much. Intent for today is that you go into the darkness unafraid. Go into the darkness because your flame, your light, it shines, and you only need a flame this size to light up a castle's hall, and so you can go into this darkness, into this abyss of self in absolute knowledge, in absolute power, to gain the greatest enlightenments, because in that darkness, your flame, your torch, your fire, your wand is powerful. And the kind of enlightenment, the intent that I have for you all today is enlightenment to give power to your creative self, to be able to see yourself how I would see you if I was able to look at you right now in the eyes and say, you are absolutely all powerful. You are absolutely a god, a goddess. You, in your own right, have the power and the strength to create your reality, and not only create your reality, but allow us to enjoy it with you. So that's my intent for all of you today that want to take that intent and back it up. I appreciate that too. Much love, stay balanced, and most of all, stay whole. Mwah.